Hey guys, Austin Ramos, and the Miami Dolphins suffered yet another loss in their 2024 campaign. Currently, now 2-4, and circling the wagon is like, what's going on? What's going on here for this Miami Dolphins team? They seemed like they had a win in hand. Uh, just one, an injury to their starting quarterback at this time, uh, definitely did not help that. Two, just why is this happening to this Miami Dolphins team? There's certain things that are not working out for them. So yeah, the Miami Dolphins lost to the Indianapolis Colts 10-16. Dolphins dropped to 2-4, and then 1-2 on the road. Meanwhile, the Colts improved to 4-3, and now 3-1 at home. And there was a lot of opportunities for the Dolphins to win this game, and squandered away by mistakes, and you can add on injuries to that, and just you know there's certain things that just can't be happening to this team if they want to progress and win, even given the injuries to Tua and all that stuff. Like, yes, it's a huge hindrance, but aside from that, this has been awfully managed by this Miami Dolphins team. So without further ado, let's get into the post-game review. First and foremost, we're going to go over team stats, then probably go over some highlights, then go over some individual stats, and then last but not least, talk about like what went wrong and so on and so forth. There's a lot that went wrong, so we can talk about that. But first and foremost, let's talk about the team stats. The Dolphins had 18 first downs, the Colts 16. In terms of third down efficiency, the Dolphins were 6 of 15. Meanwhile, the Colts were 4 of 13. So both teams were having problems converting. But luckily for the Colts, the ones they were able to convert were more crucial. And then fourth down efficiency, Colts didn't go for it on fourth down. Dolphins went for it on their final drive, and it was not a good one. It was probably one of the worst plays of the entire game. That whole drive was just either way. Let's talk about some more things. So we have some penalties to talk about. The Dolphins had 6 penalties for 50 total yards, and the Colts had 4 penalties for 25 total yards. Not a massive penalty performance. Like, the Dolphins are one of the most penalized teams in all of the NFL. And that just shows a lack of discipline for this Miami Dolphins team. But two, it's costing you drives, games, when you're already at a step below from other teams because you don't have your star quarterback in. You need to play really well. And when you're having offensive drives go back and back and back because of false starts and holding calls and so on and so forth, you're not going to win football games. And that's kind of where things started to take a turn for this Miami Dolphins team. Last but not least, in terms of team stats, we got 2 more things. There were turnovers in this game. Dolphins forced 1 turnover, and the Colts forced 2. So not great for the Dolphins. They lost the turnover battle, and they barely edged out the time of possession battle. That's because the Dolphins had a really good first half, and the time of possession was really good for that. Aside from that, the Colts dominated the second half time of possession because Dolphins had about like 17 minutes of time possession and the Colts had 11. And then the way we finished it off is Dolphins 31 minutes and 11 seconds of time of possession. Colts 28 minutes and 49 seconds of time of possession. Last but not least, in terms of just where both of these teams are, the Miami Dolphins currently ranked 3rd in their division. None of that really matters. You want, especially with Buffalo securing wins like they did today, you want to just keep on winning and stay in the race for the AFC East, but 2, most likely find yourself in a wild card spot. So now Buffalo is 5-2. The New York Jets are currently in 2nd place, being at 2-4, waiting for their Sunday night matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Dolphins 2-4, and then the Patriots suffered a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-6. Back to the AFC South, the Houston Texans suffered a big loss. They're 5-2 right now. And then the Indianapolis Colts, big win, 4-3, so they're just right on their tails. Jacksonville got a win at 2-5, and then Tennessee suffered another loss, 1-5. Let's keep things pushing here. We're gonna get into the highlight. One thing I do want to mention about the highlights is YouTube keeps on taking them down and making me have to adjust these videos in post, and it's hard for me to go back and record things knowing I can't have that or this and there. So if you see some jumps in the highlights, just know that it's more than likely because YouTube took him down, which is understandably so. I mean, I'm not really supposed to be using this stuff. Anyways, let's get into the highlight. All right, a nice fall afternoon in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. We got Anthony Richardson coming back for the Colts. He's been sidelined for the last 2 games. And then you also have on the other side, Tyler Huntley, trying to build off a win last time they were out there against the New England Patriots. But we're going to start off with the running game, and we have Raheem Mostert getting the Dolphins close to the goal line here. Following play, Tyler Huntley, unfortunately, suffers a sack here, and is just loving it. He's been traveling with the team for all the games. And then sack Steeler almost gets Anthony Richardson in the backfield, and he is just such a big bruising quarterback that you come up on top of the ball and really fire up this team overall. But yeah, love the effort from Zach Steeler here. Got to see more from that. Anthony Richardson not off to a great start. Tyler Huntley finds Alec Ingold down the sideline, who was able to lose his man in man coverage and able to get a nice big chunk play. Got it to be fun fact. Just before the half, Colts are trying to get down the field. At this point, it was a 10-0 game, and then the Colts were able to knock in 3 points on the board. With great field position, you have the Colts here, and they move a ball a couple plays, and they're in the end zone for 6. Next thing you know, it's a tie game at 10, and then things just started going from bad to worse for this Miami Dolphins team. Tyler Huntley gets injured on this play on his throwing shoulder. You see him here heading to the locker room after further evaluation of forward pass. Unfortunate for the Dolphins. It is what it is. I'm kind of on the fence in the middle here. But yeah, you have Jonnu Smith making big-time plays again and again. But another fumble for the Miami Dolphins from their back room. McDaniel, not pleased about it. And Raheem Mostert and Alec Ingold getting chewed out by their running backs coach. And rightfully so. You got to secure this ball, especially in the position that the Dolphins are in. Big third down pass breakup by Kader Kohu here. But back to that running back stuff, it's just not great. You can't fumble the ball like that. Moving down, you see Chop Robinson here make the first initial contact and was able to secure the tackle there at the end. The Colts are trying to punch this in the end zone, ground and pound, but there's big Calais Campbell wrapping up Anthony Richardson and holding the Colts to a field goal. Last drive for the Miami Dolphins here. First reception for Jalen Waddle. A big time lead here. And then Jordan Poyer almost gets the mitts on it. He does touch the ball, alters its trajectory, but unfortunately was not able to come down with it. And then Anthony Richardson just running out the clock, making big time plays. Final drive for the Dolphins here. Dump off pass to Devon Achane, and he's not able to get out of bounds. And they had to spike the ball in the next play. Now it's 4th down. You need 2 yards, and you throw an outside boundary ball way out of play. And that's final. Dolphins lose 10-16. It's not great when this is happening for this Miami Dolphins team. You have these plays, and they're not going to your liking. You have the playmakers in position to make these plays, and it's not being done. It's very unfortunate for this Dolphins team because there was lots of moments that the Dolphins really could have taken this game over and never really had the opportunity to because the offense just was not there. The passing game wasn't there, even with Tyler Huntley in there. The fact that Jonnu Smith is the leading receiver on this team in this matchup, you don't even have too many receptions for any of the other guys. Like, for example, Tyreek Hill, 1 reception, 8 yards. Jalen Waddle, 1 reception, 11 yards. Like, it's not great offense for this Dolphins team. The running game was great. It was well spread out. The running backs did have key contributions. But it just wasn't enough. And that was one of my keys to victory. It was win the ball and run it efficiently and run it, like, in the right sense. Like, you're having big-time run drives going, and they were able to do that. They were able to dink and dunk and get their way down the field, but it wasn't enough. Sucks. Anyways, let's talk about some stats. So we'll go over the player stats here, and we'll try to go into great detail here. But starting off with the Miami Dolphins, you do have Tyler Huntley, who led the Dolphins in passing with 7 of 13, 87 total yards, 1 touchdown, and was sacked twice for a loss of 12 yards. Then you have Tim Boyle coming in. He went 8 of 13, 74 total yards, and no sacks. And then you also have Anthony Richardson, who went 10 of 24, 129 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. So not the best day for Anthony Richardson, but not the worst. Where he was really, really utilized was running the ball. And you have Anthony Richardson here being an absolute menace because he's been able to help ground and pound for this Indianapolis Colts team. When the fact that you see Anthony Richardson running your way, you want to run away here. But yeah, we have Anthony Richardson with 14 carries, 56 total yards, and longest of 22, and that was the one that he broke off of Zach Sealer and was able to get. So a big running game for this Colts team. You see a few plays here where the Dolphins were able to stifle Anthony Richardson's running attempts, but he also was able to gash him with some big-time runs. So a little bit of a mixed bag here, but this was a quarterback design play, and here he is getting the first down, and a key first down for that Indianapolis Colts team. On the Dolphins side, you had Achane with 15 total carries, 77 total yards. I don't know if you guys weren't watching the game. Devon Achane came back from a concussion from 2 weeks ago against the New England Patriots, and he was wearing the Guardian cap out there. I think he's the first Dolphin that I've seen wearing the Guardian cap out there. It's good to see a player wanting to prolong his career and not have all these concussions happen to him. Moving forward, we also have Raheem Mostert, 11 carries, 50 total yards. Jalen Wright, 5 carries, 33 total yards. Tyler Huntley, 5 carries, 20 yards. And then we have 5 yards and 4 yards from Tyreek Hill and Tim Boyle. We had 2 runs with Alec Ingold, and it was for a loss of 1 yard. So overall, Dolphins had 188 total yards on the ground, and that's really good. That's what this team was game planning and striving for this week, and I think they achieved that. They did a good job at that. But then the game got away from you, and you couldn't make the key plays to put yourself in position to win there. Moving forward, we have the passing attack, and man, oh man. I talked about him earlier in the highlight, and he had himself quite the game. And that is none other than Jonnu freaking Smith. Jonnu was able to get 7 receptions, 96 total yards, and he had 1 touchdown. That was his best friend up there in Baltimore. So love to see this out of Jonnu Smith, and just the passing attack. It's been pretty good. So love to see how it would move forward with Tua at the helm. Hopefully coming back soon. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. As far as the rest of the team, not so great. Alec Ingold was the second leading receiver with a reception for 25 total yards. And then Jalen Waddle, 1 reception, 11 yards. Malik Washington, 2 receptions for 9. Tyreek Hill, 1 reception for 8. Devon Achane, 2 receptions for 8. And Julian Hill, 1 reception for 4. Odell Beckham was targeted twice, unable to come down with the football. For the Indianapolis Colts, you have Michael Pittman Jr. with 3 receptions for 63 total yards. And, it wasn't that great after that for the Colts. You have Adonai Mitchell with 2 receptions for 30 yards. Let's see, who else do we got here? Because we do have some clips here of the Dolphins defense doing pretty good. Alec Pierce had 2 receptions for 15 total yards. And Trey Sermon had 1 reception for 13. But this Dolphins defense, the secondary was doing their job and making key pass breakups. Keeping it on, we have Will Mallory with 1 reception for 5. Josh Downs, 1 reception for 3. But you see him getting denied by Kader Koho here. Anthony Richardson was not pleased at all. Also targeted was Mo Alley Cox and Kylan Granson and Drew Ogletree. This was a play specifically where if the Dolphins were able to make that play, could have swung the game. But those were certain plays that I found, key pass moments for this Dolphins defense, and mostly were able to come up to it. The last one there obviously slipped right through Jordan Porter's hands. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's talk about none other than fumbles, because, man, it hurt both teams, but specifically for this Dolphins team, it was not great. So we're just going to go ahead and rip it. And you add on to it later in this game with the Alec Ingold fumble, which was recovered by Tavern Brand. But this is not great by this Dolphins team. You can't be fumbling the ball. You can't be turning it over in this sense when you're already down your best player. You got to be a lot better on this offensive side of the ball and secure the ball. So those two fumbles by Raheem Mostert and Alec Ingold, unfavorable to the Dolphins. To add on to the fumbles, we also have the fumble that Anthony Richardson lost and Zach Sealer recovered. Big time play by Sealer. I love seeing Zach Sealer make some of those big time plays at the defensive tackle position. Let's keep on talking about defense. We have Jordan Poyer was the leading tackler for this Miami Dolphins team with 8 total tackles, 6 solo. And then we can keep it moving. We have Kendall Fuller with 7 total tackles, 6 solo. And, those were the two guys getting after it. But I really want to give a big shout out to Jordan Brooks. He was making some big time plays. He also got a pass deflection and 1 tackle for a loss. We also have Calais Campbell with 3 tackles for a loss. And then to keep it moving, we have Jalen Ramsey with 2 QB hits. Deshaun Hand with 1 tackle for a loss and a QB hit. And moving down the list, Kader Kohu, 2 pass deflections. And Mohamed Kamara with a QB hit. Aside from that, the defense didn't really have to do too much. There was a lot of incompletions, but mostly it was a lot of running the ball. And the run defense, hit or miss. They did end up giving up 155 total yards. But at the end of the day, you have a rushing QB. And I think the Dolphins were able to limit him. 56 total yards from Richardson is not ideal for this Dolphins team, but man, he's a big guy, and I would hate to be a Dolphins defender trying to tackle him. But all in all, the run defense was able to have its moments and stop some big-time runs, like the goal line stand pretty late in the game. That was pretty good right here. But aside from that, there was some big gaping runs that did not help this run defense today. Either way, I was proud with how that run defense played, given how this Colts team operates. Colts defense, you have Grant Stewart with 19 total tackles, 11 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. And then Zaire Franklin, 16 total tackles, 5 solo. And then some key stats. We have Jalen Jones with a tackle for a loss and a pass deflection. Jalen Carlisle with a QB hit. Kenny Moore had a QB hit and a pass deflection. Latu Latu had a sack, tackle for a loss, and a QB hit. And then Adam Gottis had a QB hit. And then last but not least, Deo adding... I'm pretty sure I butcher it every time I say his name. He had 1 QB hit. No interceptions for either side. We have some kick returns. And something of note is the guy for the Dolphins who returns it, Braxton Berrios, ended up getting injured. We'll talk more about that in a second because I have a little bit of a injuries, little clip I want to play for you guys. But yeah, Braxton Berrios, 1 kick return for 26 total yards. Ashton Doolin, 1 return for 20 yards. And then in terms of punt returns, Braxton Berrios had 2 punt returns for a total of 18 yards. And then Josh Downs had 2 punt returns for a total of 13. But there was one that he just blew up immediately. So he had a long of 13. Either way, let's keep on kicking. We have Jason Sanders went 1 for 2 on field goals and longest of 33. And the one he missed was a 54-yard attempt. And it hit the upright. So it would have been good if it went through, but nope. 1 for 1 on extra points. And then we have Matt Gay went 3 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 1 on extra points. Longest of 52 on his field goals. In terms of punting, a lot of punting in this matchup. Jake Bailey had 6 punts for a total of 286 total yards, 3 of which were in the 20, longest of 59. And then for the Colts, you have Rigoberto Sanchez with 7 total punts, 337 yards, and 1 was a touchback. Longest of 55, and that is all for the stats for this matchup. Let's talk about some injuries because that is something that, while it was a little bit scary and nerve-wracking at the time, some of them weren't as bad as we thought. So just before the half ended, Chop Robinson had to get checked out here. He got chip blocked here, and obviously we do have the Tyler Huntley injury. It is appearing to be a shoulder injury here because, look at it, he was grabbing his shoulder after he went out. When he was leaving the field, which you'll see in a sec, he was grabbing at his shoulder, and then on top of it, he just didn't even move his right arm, which is his throwing rate. Don't beat it. But yeah, that was some of the key injuries that happened in this matchup for the Dolphins. These are just unfortunate things that happen in football. Lots of injuries, but in a game that you are trying to have everything go your way and it's not going your way, and injuries are part of the reason that some things aren't going your way, it's very unfortunate. But back to the post-game review. Yeah, I had 3 keys to victory. It was run the ball. I think Dolphins did a great job at that. It was to kind of make Anthony Richardson's day hell. I think they did a good job of that in the first half. Second half, he was able to, manipulate the defense a little bit better and have a little bit more of a calculated running attack. On top of that, he was just able to have some better completions. The first half, the receivers were not catching the ball. I mean, he had 10 completions. It's not a great passing game by Anthony Richardson at all. But he was able to do enough to secure the Colts a win. So, it's not bad there. And then the last thing was shooting yourselves in the foot. The Dolphins committed 6 penalties for 50 total yards. It wasn't, a backbreaker, but I remember there was one specific drive that the Dolphins, it was like 3rd and 24, and half of it was because of penalties. So you can't be shooting yourself in the foot in this sense, and it's just not a good look for this Miami Dolphins team, who you're already down, like I said, your best player in Tua, so you don't want to make it harder for yourself in these games. Last thing I want to touch on was that final drive for the Dolphins. You can't go into that play, into that drive, and not be aware. We don't have timeouts. We need to get to the boundary. If the ball is in play, we need to get to the line instantly. It was very lethargic, and it was very confusing what they were trying to do. And the fact that they took so long to get to the line on the 3rd down play, you might as well have made a play of it, and maybe you would have gotten the first down, boom, you could spike it. Then that's fine. But 3rd down, you're spiking the ball. You're limiting yourself to just one play now on 4th down, and a crucial play. So overall, I'm not pleased with this Dolphins performance at all. They have quite the road ahead of them, but they do face the Arizona Cardinals, who you don't know what you're really going to get from this Arizona Cardinals team, but hopefully we can be, singing the praises of Tua after that game, because hopefully that's the game that he's expected to come back in. So, aside from how they ended this game, I think the Dolphins were doing just fine. Obviously, you want to get in the end zone. Obviously, you want to make your field goals. But shorthanded team, you're playing a way healthier team than you. They didn't even have their best running back in, and they were still able to run the ball with some efficiency. I did like how the run defense played itself, but you're facing a run-heavy team, and you're able to limit them to 150 yards. So I don't think that was awful in terms of how the defense performed. Hoping for better performances moving forward, and that's pretty much it for this post-game review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a bit of a long one, but wanted to put a little bit more extra into this one because there's still some holes in this Dolphins team. There's still mistakes happening. There's still critical things that aren't going in the Dolphins' favor, and they need to adjust. They need to be better. But that pretty much wraps it up. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.